All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome back to our latest explainer, where we are breaking down, honestly, one of the most fascinating topics in fantasy lore. They always say that the harsher the environment, the more formidable the warriors it produces. And Westeros? Its brutal, totally unforgiving landscape has given us some of the absolute most dangerous and legendary fighters you can even imagine. So today, we're ranking the top 10 all-time greatest warriors of Westeros. We're going to look at the whole shebang, everything from the incredible weapons they wielded to the straight-up mythical feats they accomplished. Let's uncover who truly ruled the battlefield and what it really took to become a legend.
But look, before we get into the top spots, we have to ask ourselves a pretty important question. What actually makes a great warrior in Westeros? Is it just brute strength? The pure fear you strike into your enemies? Or is it something a little deeper than that? Because as we'll see today, raw power might win you a battle, for sure, but it's honor that actually writes your name in history. Let's start with the fighters who completely dominate through pure terror.
All right, Tier 3, the Brutes. This covers ranks 10 down to 8.
Starting us off at number 10, we've got the undefeated Dothraki chief, Khal Drogo. Remember, in his culture, you only cut your braid when you're defeated. Drogo rocked the longest braid in the entire horde, proving he had literally never lost in a society where violent challenges are just an everyday thing. Coming in at 9 is Sandor Clegane, the fiercely loyal hound. And sitting at number 8, we have the rogue prince himself, Daemon Targaryen, wielding that legendary Valyrian steel blade, Dark Sister.
Now, you might be wondering, why on earth does the Hound outrank his massive, terrifying brother, the Mountain? Well, it really comes down to sheer skill. While Grigor relied purely on his freakish, giant size, Sandor was actually highly agile. He survived the brutal War of the Five Kings, he defeated Beric Dondarrion with a severely burned hand, and he pushed even the great Brienne of Tarth to her absolute limit. That specific blend of skill and just total fearlessness is so incredibly deadly. Take the number 50, for example. During that grueling Stepstones campaign, Daemon Targaryen didn't just fight, he essentially charged an entire army by himself. He dragged the crabfeeder's half-body right out of a cave and single-handedly killed over 50 men. The odds simply do not matter to a guy like that. Moving right along, we hit Tier 2, the unstoppable forces. This is rank 7 through 5. At rank 7, we have Sir Criston Cole, the brilliant Kingsguard Lord Commander famously known as the Kingmaker. Rank 6 brings us the Demon of the Trident, Robert Baratheon, who was an absolute monster of a man, standing 6.5 feet tall in his prime. And rounding out this tier at number 5 is prime Jaime Lannister, back when he had 2 hands and a completely unmatched lethal skill set. Actually, there is a super fascinating difference here between the screen and the page that we need to talk about. On TV, Daemon gave Criston Cole a highly competitive fight. But if you look at the Fire and Blood lore, Cole was on another planet. He handled Daemon with complete ease in both jousting and close swordplay. And in a totally separate brawl, he literally broke Harwin Strong's collarbone. In his era, nobody matched Criston Cole. But man, if we want to talk about raw, terrifying power, we have to look at rank 6. Robert Baratheon didn't just use a standard sword. He wielded a war hammer of epic proportions. Just to put its weight into perspective for you, Ned Stark, who was a fantastic warrior in his own right and swung a massive greatsword, could barely even lift Robert's hammer. At the bloody Battle of the Trident, Robert's brute force was the stuff of nightmares. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen charged at him wearing full, heavy body armor, and it took exactly one single, crushing blow from Robert's hammer to completely cave in Rhaegar's chestplate. Just unbelievable power. But pure, unadulterated talent brings us to rank 5, anchored by the number 15. At just 15 years old, Jaime Lannister was named the Kingsguard, the absolute best of the best. He was a historic prodigy. During the battle in the Whispering Woods, he single-handedly slaughtered dozens of Robb Stark's men, just trying to cut his way directly to Robb himself. And you know why he stopped? Because his sword literally got stuck in a Northman. Okay, now we are entering the realm of the absolute elite. Tier 1, Legends of Honor, ranks 4 down to 2. Coming in at rank 4 is Sir Duncan the Tall, a guy famous for a calm mind that never chose the wrong path. At 3, we have Barristan the Bold, whose longevity incredibly rivaled prime Jaime even when he was 70 years old. And at number 2 sits Aemon Targaryen, the Dragon Knight, universally remembered as the ultimate symbol of swordsmanship. Let's talk about rank 4, Sir Duncan, or Dunk, for a second. He came from this incredibly humble, common-born background,
Yet he rose all the way to the Kingsguard through sheer loyalty. Because of his legendary honor, exactly 4 dedicated pages were written about him in the White Book. 4 pages. It perfectly proves that a warrior's honor ultimately outweighs raw power when it comes to cementing a legacy. Then there's Sir Barristan Selmy at rank 3, and his feats are honestly almost unbelievable. The Mad King is taken captive, Barristan goes in completely alone and rescues him. At the Trident, even Ned Stark admitted Barristan was a totally unstoppable force of nature, just cutting through swarms of soldiers. And the confidence on this guy, even as an old man when they tried to dismiss him from service, he casually boasted he could carve through the current Kingsguard knights like carrots and radishes. And guess what? Not a single one of them dared to challenge him.
At rank 2, we see the ultimate triumph of honor. Aemon the Dragon Knight did it all. He survived pits of vipers and even won a trial by combat against Morgul to defend his sister's honor against false accusations. Now his brother, King Aegon IV, was wildly jealous of him and constantly spread these spiteful lies to try and tarnish his legacy. But history remembers the truth, right? Aemon died honorably defending the very brother who hated him, forever securing his legend, while King Aegon is remembered by history only as the unworthy.
And here we are, the pinnacle, rank 1, the Sword of the Morning. We are, of course, talking about the undisputed greatest warrior in the history of Westeros, the mythical Sir Arthur Dayne. To even begin to understand his greatness, you have to look at his weapon, Dawn. This ancestral greatsword was famously forged from the heart of a fallen star. It is widely accepted across all the lore that as long as Arthur Dayne held Dawn in his hands, absolutely nobody born in Westeros could defeat him in a fair one-on-one fight. The absolute ultimate proof of Dayne's supremacy happened during Robert's Rebellion at the legendary Tower of Joy showdown. And remember, this wasn't some fair duel. It was a 7-on-1 encounter. Ned Stark, in his absolute physical prime, arrived with 6 of his very best men. Sir Arthur Dayne took them on and single-handedly killed 5 of them. He completely outmatched and badly defeated prime Ned Stark. The only reason Dayne fell that day was because Howland Reed attacked him from behind with a backstab. In a fair fight, Arthur Dayne was simply untouchable. And his unbelievable skill was matched only by his chilling confidence. Right before that deadly clash, Ned Stark pointed out that the Loyalists had lost the war and asked why Dayne wasn't at the Trident to protect the crown. Dayne just looked at him and simply replied, "Because I wasn't there." He knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that his presence alone would have changed the outcome of the entire war. So, stepping back, what does this all actually mean for us as lore enthusiasts? Well, I think it perfectly shows that being the best doesn't just depend on how hard you can swing a sword. It's about your era, your specific opportunities, and above all else, your honor. A brutal fighter might win the day, but an honorable warrior? They are remembered until the end of time. Which brings us to the end of our deep dive today. But I want to pass it over to you. Who is your absolute favorite warrior in Westerosi history? And do you think raw power should have maybe outranked honor on this list? Let's get a passionate debate going in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and until next time, keep exploring the lore.